That's exactly what it is. It's a different style of offense. I mean, you're going to see two tight ends. You're going to see two backs. You're going to see downhill football. You're going to see power football. You're not going to survive in a three-man front against that kind of offense. So you'll see both varieties on Saturday, and three-man stuff you'll see matched up as we deem necessary, whether it be down and distance or personnel situations, and the same would be true for the four-man front.
Dale Pearson picked up starts at the end of last season and then had the success on Saturday. What
did you nominate him for Big 12? By the way?
Yeah, you didn't get it.
Didn't get it. Somebody must have played really well.
4 takeaways by the guy from West Virginia.
How to do it.
What kind of clicked for him, or what's kind of changed for him to kind of take on that role?
I don't know. At the end of last year, Dale was playing pretty fast, and you know, going back to the first question about JCs and the expectations. Dale was the guy the second half of last season really started to come on. So I think he's not only picked up where that trailed off, but added to it as a second year JC player, second year JC starter. It'll be fun to have Trent Taylor back in the lineup because he's in a similar position and will add hopefully to that defensive front.
Trent starts, plays, whatever.
He'll play.
Okay.
He'll play.
How about Tucker? What were your thoughts about Tucker after you saw him on film?
You see the explosiveness. You see the ability to use his hands and get off blocks. Saw a little bit too much independence in doing some things his own way as opposed to the discipline needed in the defense. And he'll get that fixed. He'll get that corrected as well as we go into game 2. But he's a little bit different player than we've been playing with.
Paul, your secondary, obviously the Panthers made most of their yards on scrambles, freelancing by the quarterback. How much of that was a function of how good the coverage was the secondary provided? And clearly you were able to rotate guys at corner and everywhere else as well.
I think it's a combination of first of all, his ability as a player. He's a fine athlete and showed that athleticism, showed that speed, showed the escapability. It wasn't just, a guy showing you his time on a stopwatch. It was a guy getting out of trouble and finding open areas and running to it. And then, our coverage forced a good bit of that, and that wasn't just the back four, that was the underneath linebackers as well. And that allowed some of that pressure to show up because you force a quarterback to hold the ball a little bit longer and move around. Somebody's eventually going to show up, hopefully, with a good angle and get a whack at him. But rotating 4 corners is fun to be in a position we haven't been the 6 previous years.
Paul, when it comes to the running game, sometimes yards per carry can be even deceiving just depending on the style of play. Do you think that might be an accurate measurement of of a success of a running game, or are there other intangibles that go into it?
There are. I mean, I think 4 yards or over per carry is still a pretty good standard that you'd like to see your primary backs playing with. A guy like Joshua Thomas for us, whether it's right now or 5 games from now, not necessarily going to hit that standard because of when we're going to use him and how many other carries that he's going to get. But your guys like Warren and Brown, you'd like to see them up in that neighborhood. How effective are you overall at running the football? You got to take your quarterbacks out of that because sacks count against them and so forth.
Coach, looking at C.J. Beathard, what challenges does he present? He was a little bit more mobile Saturday than maybe we saw Rudock in years past.
He's mobile. There's no question about it. He's mobile. They'll use him to run the football. He's going to create things with the scramble first, but if you're going to give him space to run, he's going to run, and he can run. He can eat up yards fast and turn a negative play into a real positive gain in a hurry. Has tremendous velocity on his football. He's going to get the ball to an open receiver in a hurry. He's a very, very good player.
Coach, generally speaking, what are some things about this week that you enjoy as you kind of see everybody get geared up for Saturday?
Well, this opportunity right here, Monday morning is one of the things I look forward to with this week and every week, to be honest with you. Just, I mean, there's no lack of focus with the preparation this week. At some point in the season, coming off a win, coming off a loss, you know, open week, whatever it is, you got to drive the guys. You got to make sure they're sitting up. You got to make sure they're alert. You got to make sure in the 17th period of practice they're going. You don't have that in this week. I mean, they want every thing that you can give them, and they want to provide everything that you have. And it's fun coaching football players and a football team in that regard.
Coach, last year's game was decided by a field goal with Cole's. Were Cole's misses more first game jitters in game one, or are you concerned at all about those?
I'm not concerned. I wasn't pleased, but I'm not concerned. The first one was jitters. That's what he gave me on the sideline, and I get that to a certain extent, especially with opening game and the crowd and the stadium and all that. Second one was fundamentals and technique, and that's what we got to make sure he fixes. He will, and no, he doesn't leave me with a lot of room for concern.
For your freshmen and your newcomers, how are you relying on the coaches and the older players to really illustrate how important this game is and what this rivalry just means to your fans and your team?
Just that, the older players, the veterans who've been a part of this for a number of years, especially the Iowa kids, impressing upon the out-of-state players the significance of this game to our alumni, to our boosters, to our fans, to the players on this team. And that doesn't take a whole lot. Doesn't take a whole lot over in Iowa City either. I mean, this is a game that the state has their eyes on, and you want to play at your very best.
Last question for Coach.